Yeah, guys, so we're here to talk about the state of succ drak. It's early June 2026 now. We just got our changes about a week ago. So we've had some time to play around with them and review them and see what kind of impact they do in AOS and Node Wars and even PvE. So, and this time around, I have my goat Taegi with me, who is one of the best suck drag players I know on EU, and plays in Comfy. We were in the same guild for a while too, and he also does a lot of PVE with the class as well. So I've really enjoyed doing the Awakening Drak video in a similar fashion with a couple Awakening Drak goats. So I thought I would repeat that, and going forward, I'll probably collaborate more because it's just nicer to have a second or a third voice when doing these things. But yeah, without further ado, let me introduce Taegi again. So he has been playing succ drak, as far as I know, since its release. He's been playing it in all the strongest guilds and alliances for years on EU. He's hard capped crazy amounts of gear also, and does PvE, PvP, everything on the class. And then you guys know me already. Uh, Average succ drak player who enjoys making videos about her and trying to keep you up to date with how it's going. So, yeah, thanks for joining me, Taegi. Welcome to the stream. Can you quickly also introduce yourself for everybody, and then we can jump right in?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm Taegi. I'm basically everything that Maze said, playing since release. Can't find a different class, even though I always want to try to find something else, but nothing is as enjoyable as Drak for me. And
Yeah.
do sometimes even grind videos if I feel like it or don't slack, and yeah, might do some updates once she gets some PV adjustments.
Yeah. I usually send people to Taegi's PV videos, guys, because like he's pulling crazy numbers usually, usually better than mine. And also he has more gear, so he can go grind spots that I can't, like Star's End and Sakraya and stuff. So we can talk about the PvE state as well. We'll probably do that first, after we review the changes. But yeah, I feel the same way. I know a lot of succ drak enjoyers are just like that. We just can't find another class that clicks better and plays better, even though we can play some stuff on the side. I like playing Awakening Drak on the side, Awakening Mystic, but nothing feels as good as succ drak to me as well. So I'm glad to have somebody who feels the same way with me. Okay, now I'm just gonna quickly go through the changes summary. I have a Google Doc on the side open. I'll just read them quickly, and then we can start talking about the state of succ drak in PvE. So what happened, guys, is on the last patch, one of our most important skills, which is Azure Onslaught. I can't find it. Let's use the search function. Yeah, so this is already one of my favorite skills in the kit, even though it's buggy, and we're hoping to get PA to fix it because it gets a lot of fall animation problems that we're going to talk about. But this is one of our favorite catches already in PvP, and in PvE you can use it to close distances between packs and stuff sometimes. So now it charges 3 ions on hit, which is super nice because it's a super armor engage skill that now lets us charge ions. That's super nice. The second change is Markthanen's Dominion, Shift E. Shift E for PC, of course. I don't know the console inputs, sorry guys. That's why I'm saying the class names as well. This one charges 6 ions instead of 3, so that's also another POG change in my opinion. It is a skill that we have to use extremely carefully, both in PvE and PvP, because it's animation locked without any very viable cancels, but it charges more ions, so it's super nice as well. Our Magnus skill also got buffed. It used to generate 3 ions, now it generates 6 ions on hits. So that's also super nice. Let me remove this thing, by the way. So 6 ions on this. And then we also got 2 other changes that are not related to the ions. Oh, sorry. Actually, we also got skewer. Skewer is a very important skill in our kit. This used to stockpile 6 ions. Now it stockpiles 9 ions. Now, overall, the ion economy on the class has been getting better and better and better over the last 6 months. We had previous changes where the cleansing mechanic that I talked about in my previous State of Suck Drak video, so you can go watch that to learn about that. That was giving us extra ions. Now we got more ions from our active generators. I think we're in pretty decent shape. We still need some more changes on that front, honestly, but we'll talk about those more. And then another change that came inside the same patch as these ion changes is the skill Ascent went from 12-second cooldown to 10 seconds. I'm really happy about this, mainly because it was super annoying being the only 12-second cooldown skill in the kit now. Even Brimbolt Strike is 10 seconds. I personally think this should have been reduced to 8 seconds. Or its damage and speed should be buffed. We'll talk about that too. But it is what it is. This is where we are right now. The nice thing about this is this skill now also heals you and cleanses for ions. So you can just use it more frequently in whatever content you're doing. So it's always a win, even if you don't use this skill that much. Depends on your playstyle. Now, another big change that came alongside the Awakening Drak changes recently, but it was kind of under the radar, is actually Markthanen's Wings. The stamina cost on this was brought from 400 to 250. And it looked very small because like it was right next to a whole bunch of Awakening Drak changes. But it's a very good change. We've had time to play with this for weeks. It lets me do an extra iframe for each use, basically, right? Or it lets me manage my stamina a lot better. So these are the changes in a nutshell. So we have like 6 really nice recent changes that have been affecting gameplay. And now that we've gone through that, I'm just gonna hop in and want to start talking about State of Suck Drak in PvE. And I'll let you take it from here on like the first few points, at least, Taegi. What do you think about State of Drak? How is it doing? How are you feeling about it?
I will mainly talk about Endgame since it's the only content I really do on here nowadays. Hard cap.
Sure.
Overall, I would say she's fine, like an 8 tier or something like that. Like all the 3 endgame spots are different for her. Like for example, Darth End, she's close to being one of the best. Only thing that is lacking behind there's burst mobility or like a long distance mobility. Like would have been nice, for example, to have the same treatment with wings as Awakening Drakania got with the distance on cooldown. Then if that would be there, we would be capping trash. Like we are already one of the few classes that are able to do like the special 6 crystal rotation there, which makes us get even more trash. But yeah, as I said, the mobility is kind of gapping us. Then let's talk about the Crier. That's actually our worst endgame spot, since we don't really have good sustained DPS, but like burst in like 3 skills or 4 skills. And after that, our damage drops really hard, and then yeah, we have to basically wait for these skills to come back on cooldown to kill the mobs and get mob packs to aggro. And then for Zephyros, we're also like, let's say, close to the top tier there. We're just missing a little bit of DPS compared to the top tier, which are like 10-15% faster in killing the elite mobs, which makes the mobs, or like the trees that are spawning there, not despawn, which then makes us lose less trash if you kill them fast enough, since yeah, you're losing trash if they despawn. So I kinda expect, if you also look at today's global lab, that we will probably also get like a 10-15% damage buff to be on par on the highest tier of classes. And yeah,
cool.
Apart from that, Yeah, I would let you take the non-endgame spots, I guess, since you're way
Yeah.
more knowledgeable on that, I think.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, so I've been gearing up an alt over the last 6 months or so. She's up to like 816 gear score now, so I think it's doing really well. Just behind the, like, I have 2 Idana armors left, and then she'll probably just jump up to like 830 or so. But she's now up to Orbita. I was doing Nymphomare before that quite a bit. I did some Orzekia. I did a bunch of DSR and Tungrad. So those are also very relevant spots these days. I think they're relevant for most players these days. So first I'll talk about Tungrad. At Tungrad, you're hard capped at about 70k or so trash loot. Maybe a little more. And this is with Agris. Now the really busted classes there, like Succ Megu is the best class, or one of the best classes there, can do 80k. So again, you're about like 10% below. And the main reason for that is the cooldowns. You need like 8-second cooldown skills, or you need more sustained DPS. So again, the same problem you mentioned with, like, you have really high burst DPS, but then your filler skills are doing absolute garbage amount of damage. So you go to a pack, you destroy it in 5 seconds. I've tested this, timed this quite a few times. But then you go to the next pack, and the next pack takes 10 seconds to kill. So on average, you're doing 7.5 to 8 seconds, whereas the fast classes do 6.5 or so. That's where that 10% comes from, right? It's the sustained DPS, just like you said. DSR, she's also very good, but still the same problem. The 10-second cooldown barrier is what's holding her back. You either have to reduce those cooldowns even further, which would be crazy, I guess, because it also affects PvP, or you have to buff the filler skills. The filler skills we talk about, guys, usually are Omni Slash. This is one of our DP shreds. Brimbolt Raise is another one. And then we have Embers. This is your AP buff. Let's have this thing on, don't I? Yeah. This is your AP buff. DP Shred. Right? And then, you're also using Skewer. Doesn't do damage at all. You're using Abyssal Fang. Skills like that are very low damage, as you can see. Like, Embers is probably the best of the pack. It's like 11k damage, and it gives you the AP buff. But they're still slow in terms of DPS. So Omni Slash is also decent. Omni Slash flows really well into Raise, so we usually use them together. But at the end of the day, the damage is so low compared to our spenders that I think they just need to buff those filler skills quite a bit for PvE, so that our DPS can kind of stay high throughout the grind. I could say the same thing also about Orzekia. When you're doing the little bosses at Orzekia, the filler skills just slow you down. Same story. But then once you hit the Adonia spots, you're S+ tier, up to Zephyros. This includes Tenebraum, Orbita, Nymphomare, and Etherian Castle. And the reason for that is those spots are capped. It doesn't matter. Like, you can have 10-second cooldowns. It doesn't matter. You're always using your strong skills there. So that's why you can be top tier at those spots. Like at Orbita, I have a very easy time getting 5 Titans on just one rotation. I don't do that two rotation min-maxing crazy stuff. I just do the 5 like a regular citizen, and it's very easy, very chill. So if the plan for PA is to make everybody easily clear everything everywhere, then Succ Drag needs filler skills to be substantially buffed, or even more cooldown reductions, which, but I don't know if it's happening.
like what I expect is them giving the trend of the today's global lab to buff our ion spender skills by like 10% and the fillers by like 20 to 25%, for example.
Yeah.
But yeah, we will have to see what they will do in the next global labs on other classes to somehow base what kind of DPS they want to have per rotation. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And there's no telling what they're going to do. I honestly think they're going to go in that direction and make everybody OP. But the thing is, like, even if they buff my ion spenders again, I'm still going to be at 70k at Tungrad. Because, again, the second pack I'm going to clear slowly again. If they don't buff my filler skills. Or maybe they make it so powerful that I clear one pack with half the ion skills. And then I can use the other half on the other pack. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But this class needs one last touch. Like, Awakening Drak is top tier right now. It doesn't need any more touches. It's perfect. It works everywhere pretty much. I don't know if it's good at Sikraya. That's the only one I hear conflicting reports about. Maybe you have some idea on that.
That you're not working, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, it's only not performing at S tier at Sikraya, but I could be wrong. But like succ drak just needs some very small tweaks. It could be either what Taegi said, they buff all our ion spenders and that gets the job done too. And at the
Ion and fillers just by larger amount than the ions, what I meant.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Dosa today, all is like what's called challenge skill that are the heavier just got buffed by like 10% and all the filler by like 20 to 25. So that's why where I base my numbers off.
Yeah.
It might
happen.
be the same case.
They might do an all across the board buff kind of thing, and it wouldn't surprise me. Like you said, the changes today to Megu was like half the global labs, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Wuso looks pretty crazy. Berserker, you were telling me it was already good from people's reports. And I don't know. So I think anything's possible. And hopefully, I mean, succ drak, guys, has been getting a lot of regular attention over the last couple of years. Whereas she was a forgotten class before that. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get some changes. We just don't know what they will be. But the current state is like this. A+ in most spots. In some spots you can get A. And then in the lower Adonia spots, which is like the only one that's out of the best is like Zephyros. Everywhere else you can get S tier trash loot. So if you're grinding one of the 4 Adonia spots that's not Zephyros, you're top tier. And then the Zephyros expert Taegi is here. He's saying 10% less. So I can live with that, but you know, min-maxers, it's important information for you. If 10% is the deal breaker, then you're probably tagging another class for Zephyros alone.
But not per se 10%. It's like most of our classes in Zephyros are also kind of the same, to be honest. But there's also a specific breakpoint in DPS there. For example, bosses die fast enough before they jump or something. And there it's where we are like 5 to 10% behind. And unless they are now really buffing if they are buffing most of the classes now to be stronger now, then I expect a buff to us, to be honest. If not, they might just keep it as it is.
I see. Okay. So then trash loot wise, I'm especially curious about Zephyros and Sikraya. Like when you look at the top tier classes, on top tier players like yourself, because I know you're top tier PVE on succ drak, so it's a fair comparison. What would like a top tier player get over top tier succ drak in the spots?
Let's take the highest example on Zephyros right now. For example, a succ wizard gets like 20k. He clears like 3 to 4 minutes faster the rotation, and overall. Well, we are succ drak, if everything goes good and you get the despawn timings right, you get maybe like 19.3k.
19.3k.
On Sikraya, For example, I think I don't remember correctly, but I think my highest was like 13 point something, like 3 or 4. While let's say succ got buffed today, which is excelling there, gets around 14.4 at top as the best, or like a Megu gets like 14.1 or something. Now if after they get the buffs again, they will shoot way above us. So yeah. And these are the numbers with just yellow, no Argus.
Oh, dude, my audio cut out this whole time.
Yeah. I was already thinking where you were.
Okay, what did I say last?
It was about where I talked about the endgame performance, how much treasure I got, and then I didn't hear anything from you anymore.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I was just wrapping that up. So I wanted to give a TLDR on the PV side of things. Drak is a great class. It's not like the old days where we get 30-40% less than the top tier. Those days are gone. Now you can expect to get maybe 3-5% less in some spots and then 3-5% more in some spots compared to your friend's X, Y, and Z class. So it's a good class. You can pick it up and play and progress without any fear of getting left behind. You can watch my PV guide on my YouTube channel. It's still relevant. I also recommend you watch Taegi's grind videos because a lot of the stuff we kind of come up with together, and we always talk about the priority lists and rotations in DMs and on my Discord and everything. So there's a lot of overlap in what we do. But yeah, go play Suck Drag. If you're waiting on the sidelines, I know a lot of you are. It's just fine in PvE. It does have a learning curve.
Disclaimer, the Zephyros video on my side is outdated. We had like, with optimized combo, like 4 to 5 minutes faster than that video. It's in clear, so yeah. We can get a bit more trash than on that video. No.
Yeah, so Taegi's gonna make another Zephyros video and all the other spots pretty soon, right? They're incoming, surely.
Now that if there are buffs maybe happen, I'm not sure if I should do them. And then they're getting invalidated, so I'm waiting until the PVE also then, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's always my concern too when I'm making videos. Even making this video, I'm like, am I gonna have to do one more in a week from now? But it's exciting. It's content stuff to talk about anyway. But yeah, let's wait for the PvE buffs to finish up, and then we can kind of talk about state of PvE again. Okay, now I'm gonna get into the juicy parts. State of Suck Drag in PvP. And first we're going to start with large scale. We'll do a general overview and then we'll talk about each cap separately because I hate it when a class gets clumped in as capped. Like T1 and T2 are very different worlds. And then uncapped is a completely different world. So we're going to talk about all three of them. But I'll let you start this off, Taegi, with like, what are your general thoughts about Suck Drag and large scale PvP?
I think she's quite good. There's some pain points, but they are kind of like a cherry on top that you want to be really good with her. But if you're good in mastering the class, she's, to be honest, not that bad. Really playable. Maybe one below tier the meta DPS classes right now, but yeah, that's my overall thoughts on it. She kind of falls off a bit the more carpets that say are in the guild or enemy guild because you kind of rely on your burst damage, and if you get your burst damage out onto carpets, they're kind of useless because of the iron mechanic. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, and again, a reminder is that Taegi is in one of the best uncapped guilds on EU, so he mostly plays uncapped. And then I think you guys do T2 from time to time, right? Like once or twice a week?
Twice tier 2 and even one time tier 1 when you have like an off day.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not that experienced with because I'm usually going on different classes.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, you're the uncapped master. I only do like, we do only 1 day of uncaps with rats, so I don't do as much anymore. I've done a lot of T1 recently, but I got super bored with them, honestly. So I just moved on to do purely tier 2s and 1 uncapped a week, but I can talk about tier 1 first from my own experience. I feel like tier 1 is where she is the strongest right now. She has really good sustain due to her heals, and her heals really kind of, you know, everybody has 6,500 HP, right? But in one quick skill, you get 4,000 back. So it's pretty nice. But the caveat being, you have to be below 60% health for that to happen. You have to be around 3,900 HP, which is kind of dangerous territory sometimes because even in T1, burst damage can take you out. But if you position well, if you stick with the class and you keep playing it in T1, you're going to be doing really well overall. I always tell people, like, the class has a rough learning curve. It's really hard to understand how to position, how to engage, how to disengage. Even though the class has a simple and, like, she doesn't have that many skills, right? Like, you look at this tree, you could just memorize all this in 1 hour, 2 hours, and you don't even use like most of these. You only use maybe 10, 12 skills throughout the node war. Um, so it's got a learning curve because, like Taegi just said, this is a very good point. You rely on burst. Once you use up your burst damage, you're just waiting for cooldowns, and you're out of ions, so you're waiting for cooldowns and trying to recharge this stuff. And admittedly, recharging has gotten easier, right? Even this gives ions now, which is super, super nice. I still can't... I'm still happy when I see this go up when I use the skill. Even after a week or so. So, this is great. Tier 1 is your best place. Now, I'll talk about my Tier 2 experiences a little bit, and then we'll get your thoughts on that as well. And then you can dive more into uncaps. But in Tier 2, I would say, just like Taegi, I think she's one tier below the top tier, even though like some tier lists are putting her in S tier. I would say maybe like lower S tier or top of A tier kind of placement for Tier 2. Now, the reason for that is the class is classified as a Vanguard class. This is where most misunderstandings stem from about this class. I think that people think you can just straight in go into the enemy main ball and you can unload your burst damage and get a whole bunch of kills and then get out. The reality is you will go in, you will start your biggest burst skill, which is always up here, and well, by the time you do the flow, you're dead. Because the healing, while really good, cannot keep up with the incoming damage. Like 5, 6, 7,000, 8,000 healing is not going to keep up with 50,000 incoming damage from 10 people. You don't have the super armor damage reduction that other Vanguard classes have, such as like an Awakening Mystic, which is, in my opinion, it's the best Vanguard class. It should be the benchmark for Vanguard classes. Guardian is also a very good Vanguard class, but what they have in common is that they have super armor damage reduction. So they have damage mitigation that you don't have. That being said, she also has another problem where she has low number of hits on her skills, and everybody's capped at 850 accuracy. So you miss hits, you lose a lot of your burst damage. And because we are high cooldowns with high resource management, every time you miss hits, it hurts you more than other classes. So this is why there's a learning curve to the class. You got to position and time correctly to capitalize on it. But honestly, it's also one of those classes that has the highest fragging potential in the game. Up there with Rangers, Archers, every other class that can really frag out hard. Suck Drak can go up there, but it's quite a bit more difficult. So I would say top A tier for Tier 2. But I'll let you talk about Tier 2 and then uncapped Taegi so we can kind of have this section up.
I know for me, the Tier 2 experience really depends on the day how the guild plays. Because for example in uncapped I can go in and like two-shot a blaster class, and Tier 2 or up front damage or like SA damage combo is, to be honest, not that great. I feel like the whole SA damage combo does like 50% of a person max, and then if you are going too early you won't get any kills. You have to pay kinda ratty if you want to sneak some steal some kills. Or yeah, mainly depends how the guild you're in fights on that day.
True. Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
But our main strong point in Tier 2 especially is the healing, since I feel like you don't die as much one tap there as in Tier 1, to be honest, or in uncapped. But yeah.
Yeah, in uncapped,
That's my opinion.
That's a good point. Uncapped, you're going to talk about this more, I'm sure, but uncapped, yeah, you just get one shot a lot more than Tier 2. I don't know, tier 2, if you engage correctly, yeah, you could survive quite a bit. Like the other day I was doing tier 2, my whole main ball was wiped except for me. And I was still trying to DPS and get a couple more kills before I died, and then the shock collar got pissed at me at the end.
And then you sit at like 90% wound, and I use this for the next
Yeah,
engage, basically.
yeah, exactly. So it's like you have crazy survivability sometimes to your own detriment, because sometimes you just can't die. I don't know. I get into this flow state sometimes. I'm like, just one more kill, just one more kill, and I keep going, and then I realize my main ball's on the other side of the map by the time I die. And I've been just solo fighting a bunch of people. So it's a good class for doing that stuff. To be honest, it's really
So
fun.
what's kind of funny is, since we see now the Node War stats and the latest buff to Succ Garden, we are not even the best self-healing class in the game anymore. Succ Garden is above us.
True.
Because they have that shift Q chain that makes them have a PA on a 9 seconds cooldown that fully heals them all the time as well.
Yeah, Awakening Guardians too. They always compete.
I don't think Awakening has that. It's just the Succ Garden shift Q that does that shit. But
Yeah, but total numbers though on tier 1, the Awakening Guardian in my guild, we were always kind of tied for both kills, damage, and heals, which is kind of wild. Well, his heals were a bit lower, admittedly, maybe 10% lower, but still super high. And considering they have 20% super armor damage reduction compared to our measly 10, I think them healing almost as much as us is kind of crazy.
no.
Yeah. And then what about uncapped? So you're the uncapped expert. I haven't been playing much uncapped personally. What do you think about it? And also give any tips to anybody who might be listening, because people ask a lot.
I mean, Uncapped is more not really about how your guild plays, but how the enemy guild plays and what kind of raid they have. If you have like, there's some guilds that stack heavily carpets, then you won't really deal much because, as I said earlier, all your damage is front loaded in bursts, and if you lose that burst into 10 carpets, yeah, you're kind of just standing there not being able to do anything. But for other guilds where you know they have like range or something, or you DPS that are on a sideline, you can really pick them out and burst them in like 1 to 2 skills, which is kind of nice, to be honest. And then there's also rats that have too many iframes nowadays. That's also some pain point where our burst goes into nothing because we don't hit them due to the iframes. And since our skills are so predictable and kind of slow to use, they most of the time just dodge it. But overall, at least from my side, I'm most of the time in the top 5 and one of the highest damage, so I don't think she's that bad then.
Yeah.
Just mainly trying to get or position yourselves so you don't really go up front, but from the sides or from the back via like mountains to air walking or some unknown positions. So you basically engage from render distance at the enemies don't exact.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice, by the way. So this is stuff that I learned from Taegi when I was in Comfy with him. The uncapped, I've kind of gotten to a level where I can also be in like top 5 in most cases. But sometimes I'm in top 10 if I'm slacking, and that's still fine. Because uncapped is rough for succ drak. Honestly, difficult fights make this class even more difficult. Because you don't have as many tools as other classes. Like, you don't have as many get out of jail free cards. You only have one iframe. You have a PA you can use every 40 seconds, which is nice, but you can't really cancel out of it if you position badly. Like, the class gets punished really hard for mistakes. But it also gets very well rewarded for playing it well. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I always call it an Elden Ring class, where you have very few tools at your disposal and you're fighting bosses with more tools than you. They're downright cheating pretty much. But you know what? You can still top frag. I know a lot of Drax top frag or do highest damage in uncapped T2 tier 1. So yeah, I agree. It's a good class, and I always have fun when I play uncapped, even though like last night was very rough for me. Still though, I enjoyed it more than tier 1 because it's a big challenge. But yeah, good tips. Go for the sides, go for the back. Don't try to be a pure Vanguard class by stacking too much DR. That's one thing I forgot to mention. You gotta play full blast if you want to make an impact. This class doesn't play hybrid. If you go below 1000 AP, you're suddenly gonna feel like, what am I even doing here? Like, why did they bring me here? What am I doing? You're not doing much, unfortunately. Because even with like 750, 760 DR, you're still not tanking a lot of the stuff. You're still gonna get one shot by a succ sage behind you. So go full blast. It's very difficult to stay alive, but it's also very challenging, and I find it really fun. Okay, cool. So that's large scale in a nutshell. Again, I'll do like a TLDR. Large scale PvP, can't go wrong with her. I love her to death. And now that I can get ions much faster, much easier in many more ways than before, which include cleansing, which include Azure Onslaught, Dominion, if the situation is okay for it. You can use your Magnus, you can use your Flourish Magnus cancel, you can use your Rabam Magnus cancel to get ions in some cases, and then you have your trusty old Raise, where you do when it's super safe. You're just chilling with your main ball, you just do it passively.
Wait, to add into that, do you really notice a lot of ion changes of all these changes we got because to be honest, for me, the biggest changes to ion generation was the shift Q and slow cleanse change, and the WE Azure Onslaught for small scale. Apart from that, all the ion changes we got in the last 2 or 3 patches, I didn't fear at all for my playstyle, because most of the skills are either not working as intended, or you don't use them anyway because they're way too risky.
Yeah, okay. Sorry. Yeah, what I was saying is basically with the ion changes, like you said, I felt cleanses the most in large scale, and then I felt Azure in small scale. Those are the best changes for those two. Like, that's for sure. That being said, the other ones I've still felt, because let's say you're fully out of ions, and then you respawn at fort, and you have your protection going. The most annoying situation there is, how are you going to recharge ions? Well, if your shift Q is up, that's your best option. Right? You don't have to take any risks, just PA, but then you pray for cleanses. Sometimes you don't get any cleanses. So then what are you going to do? You can use the fort protection for shifty in that case, for example. Like, it's a very niche change, and it's not always super useful, but it is sometimes useful at least. Getting 3 ions from it felt like, why would I even use this? But now I have double the reason to use it. So it's not a huge change, but it's something. Same with Magnus. It's very situational. It's definitely not as useful as the cleanses or the Azure change. So on that, I think we're in agreement.
I mean, I would like to shift each changes, for example. On paper, they're insane, but sadly, in reality, the hitbox of it is so bad that most of the time you don't even get the ions or just a part of it. It's one main thing that is bugging me about that change. Because on paper, SA with 6 ions is like massive, but getting that off is sadly a different story.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the inner hit, outer hit skill on that should be removed. There should be just one quick quit hit once she hits the ground, and then we should be able to cancel it.
No.
Hopefully they'll hear us, because we've sent feedback about that. But yeah, that's my main gripe with Shifty as well. It also doesn't have cancels, aside from Sundering, and even that's too late. No protected way out of it, aside from PAing afterwards. Or going to Ascent. But like neither are perfect options. Skewer has been a big change for me as well, because I use Skewer a lot during Node War, just to proc quick ions while I'm moving from like elephants running away, people running away, or structures. It's very fast recovery, very quick animation. So that's one I like as well. Even in AOS, I've used it quite a bit this season. Whereas like I used to risk Fang, and Fang is a bit more risky. But it flows into Ion Spenders, so it also has a place. So yeah, that was kind of a decent Ion discussion as well. Like the changes overall are nice, but are they enough? Are they perfect? Do they make the class like Awakening Mystic, where it also has resources that she builds and spends, but it's an afterthought? I've played like 100 matches on Awakening Mystic on AOS. I've played a few Node Wars with her. You don't really think about your shards too much. They come to you naturally as you play. Drak is getting close to that level, but it's not there yet. We need a couple more changes that give us more ions, faster, more protected, and then I think she'll be in very good shape in terms of just keeping ion uptime. So, gotta look forward to that day. Okay, so I think that's enough about large scale. Let's hop into small scale PvP, which is, we got AOS season going for another 3 weeks, and we're getting a lot of questions. Hey, succ drak playable in AOS? Should I pick her up? Or should I play Awakening? Or should I play X, Y, and Z class? So, I've done about 50 games on succ drak so far. I've been really busy. Also been trying Awakening Drak and played a lot of Mystic for research purposes. But I'll let you start, Taegi, because I know you did some matches on succ drak too after the changes. How do you feel?
It feels better than before for sure, because you can now somewhat get a bit of ions with the WE. Class is a extreme noob stomper if they don't know what to do or don't have a grab. It's kind of busted, I would say. But the moment anyone knows how the class works, or there's one single grab and that knows to run you down, it's kind of over, because everything's so predictable and for her to deal damage, she kind of needs to be risky and get iron somehow. And any good player will just punish you on these gaps, and then that's why you probably don't see a succ drak in the top 100 anywhere in any server.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think what you said is spot on, because we have seen succ draks climb to previously unseen levels this season now. We have like we've had a bunch of purples, at least on EU. I think on C there's one as well, really high. I don't know about NA, I haven't checked actually. Red's a very easy climb for succ drak now. Anybody who has some time on the class, who knows the mechanics and stuff, can climb to red with it. It's not a problem. Purple, you can push for it. Top 100 though, maybe 1 or 2 will get in towards the end, but it's very, very difficult. And I think the main reason too is the animation locks and the fall animation bug on WE. Now, we need WE a lot for, while we're trading, we're generating ions, but then we get a fall animation and we lose the fight because of that. And it's a bug. So we lose to bugs pretty often. And then animation locks are terrible. Like Dominion, like you said, on paper, it looks great, but it's so slow and locks you in place. It's an invitation for a grab class to just come grab you, or any blasting class can get behind you and kill you in 2 skills. So I think that's one more thing. Like grabs are just an imbalancing mechanic overall anyway. We're susceptible to them because of the animation locks. And then we still have stamina issues. even though it's gotten better after the wings change. And then you can't use the cleanses in AOS. So I think she's better. Maybe it's her best season since her release. Like, her release season was busted, so I'm not counting that. But since her release, this is still her best season. But she is not one of the best classes. So
Yeah, I agree.
she needs more animation cancels. She needs more protected ion generation. And then she'll be pretty competitive, I feel. Like, she can get into top 100. Maybe not the top echelons like the Awakening Lawn, Awakening Mago ridiculousness, levels. You won't see 11 or 12 of those like drags up there. But you can get into the bottom 25, 30% with those changes. So, needs more buffs for AOS, but you can have fun in yellow, red, to a certain degree, purple elos. That's what I'm seeing. And about Guild League, I know you've done a lot more Guild League than I did, I think. I didn't do too many matches. But yeah, what do you think about Guild League?
I think it's the content where drak is the worst at.
Mhm.
Because it's a tight arena, you're fighting 10 people where you're already not scaling good. And it's uncapped, so people most of the time just run 6 carpets and 4 iframe DPS, and you basically are never able to properly regen ions. Since the only way to get iron is hoping someone succeeds somewhere to get your Dominion off, be safe, or WRMB spamming. And any good comp has like 1 or 2 Zerkers and then 2 gauntlets, and they just run you down. You will run out of stamina and then just die. That's basically it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that too. Guild League.
Your audio cut off again?
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
I think in mid-elo fights, she's good again. Like, she's a good mid-elo fighter, where comps are not super optimized, and gear is not super optimized, and everybody's kind of like average. Then you can be really strong. But then as soon as you start hitting and fighting these guilds with meta comps, like you said, iframe, carpet, combos with gauntlets and stuff, yeah, it's just not a good time. You're just running out of this resource or that resource constantly. So hopefully PA continues with the stamina nerfs, especially on grab classes, because grab classes being able to run everything down forever is actually the main problem with grabs. It's not even grabs themselves. It's just those classes never run out of stamina. And like a Zerk can run around the map 5 times to grab you, but you've run out of stamina long ago. So that's a big problem that they've kind of been addressing, so hopefully they continue doing that. And then classes without a grab should just have a little more mobility. That's what I think. But we also have too much super armor in the game, which is another problem. Sometimes you get this no grab fights in AOS, and they go on for 15 minutes because like nobody's getting CC'd, nobody's getting killed standing, everybody's just flying around doing this and that. So there's a bunch of mechanical problems with the game that kind of cause these issues. But in the current meta, yeah, Guild League not super recommended class, unfortunately, at least for now. And then for small scale, we can quickly touch on duels. Like, I've done a whole bunch of duels in the past with succ drak. I think she is more viable now. Non-grab classes have very big difficulty out trading you because of your heals. But then you might not be able to burst them down either because you got to recharge ions. So usually a very good suck drak against a very good non-grab class, usually just handshake and walk away. That fight never ends. Or one of you has to make a mistake. And then grab classes against them, you gotta either CC them first, where they grab you, or you just get grabbed because you run out of stamina or movement skills, or you have to stop to recharge ions. And then if you're fighting an SAQ block class, you just wait for them to decide when the fight begins, and then you hope for them to make a mistake, and then you're kind of kryptonite. So that's kind of my thoughts. I don't know if you do much 1v1 these days, but...
No, I never was really a 1v1 person, so...
Yeah. I'm not either anymore, but I used to do a lot of it. And sometimes I'm 1v1 in AOS, sometimes I'm left 1v1ing in Node Wars, and it's always the same scenario. If it's a non-grab class, I usually win if I don't make a mistake. Grab classes, again, you can either take a risk, try to CC their grab, because usually they're readable on most classes. And then some classes you can't read, you just have to keep iframing and trying to bait. But yeah, SAQ block classes are just terrible. Terrible to fight on. Like drak 1v1. Yeah, and then honorable mention RBF. So RBF is dead right now because of AOS. I'm looking forward to getting it back because I like Castle Ruins. I like making money off of RBF. My personal thoughts on RBF is just suck drak is super fun in it. Very easy to rack up points in Castle Ruins and look OP. And kind of casual, fun way to make money for me. I don't know how you feel about RBF though. Have you done much?
I've done RBF, but to be honest, any class is kind of good there because there's so many. There's a gear disparity is there so high there. Some random ass 700 gear score player would get at some point like the 1k person as the last hit, and then you kill that one and you suddenly have 500 points.
Yeah.
Then
Yep, that's
like,
true.
If it was like more balanced gear-wise, then it was easier to judge. But with it being so disparate, like far apart, it's kind of hard to judge RBF. But it's fun to just run around and blast into 10 people at the same time and so on. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say like a tier, like S tier, A tier, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's just fun. Like, it's really hard to tier a class, like you said, where gear disparity is so big. Like, you're going in there with 850 and then you're hitting somebody with 750. Any class is gonna one-shot that. But the nice thing about drak is, like, you do a Brimbolt strike, you're hitting everybody in the opposing team, pretty much. And one of them is gonna be the 750 gear score guy. And you're gonna get him more often than most other classes. So
though you won't be like the same as like if there's Valencia, for example, you won't be a striker level where you get like 80 kills because you can just sit on the spawn point with a spawn debuff and never die and kill everyone there. You will run out of ions and then your damage is kinda not there since our skills do like 1/3 of the damage if you have no ions.
yeah, I agree. Also, yeah, Valencia should be deleted anyway. It's a horrible map. I hope it never comes back. I hope it dies. It's just so bad.
It's kind of fun so on succ drak with air walking, though you can abuse it so much and engage from behind and yeah. But yeah.
True. I like
why the capture the conquest mode, it's kinda meh.
Yeah, the debuff is annoying. Like, if it was just cancel, fine. But like that debuff is just whatever. Like, I want to be able to defend a point, bro. Succ drak is a good defender, by the way. Something that doesn't get talked about too often. But when you're defending a point, her AoE is really good at zoning. And that's what I've always wanted to do in Valencia. Just try to zone. Try to keep people away from the capture point. Because of that stupid gimmick, I can't do that. You always have to be on the offense. You always have to be moving. So that's my main gripe about Valencia. Otherwise, chasing rangers on top of rooftops, definitely super fun with succ drak. And like, you do wings azure, suddenly catch them and they're like, what the hell, but they're already stiffened, and then you just one combo them. That's always a fun time. But Yeah, I hope like even if they don't delete the map, they just remove that gimmick. Just delete the gimmick and then make the terrain a little more accessible because nobody wants to use 250 stamina to like fly into a small pot on the floor and not move at all. You know what I mean? It's just like so many places you get stuck on that map. It needs a rework. Castle Ruins is way better in that regard. It's just open field for the most part. Um, so hopefully they create more maps. That's what I want for RBF. I just want more maps. Um, so hopefully we'll get that. But yeah, so okay, we've covered all of the large scale, small scale things we wanted to talk about. So that's great. I really appreciate your takes. And yeah, what are your closing thoughts? What do you think you would say to somebody who wants to start playing succ in PvP and how they should get started and what the state is in general?
Clothing thoughts. So I'm not really sure what to say there. Just give it a try, I guess. Don't get demotivated after a week. I get that a lot that people ask me about succ and then I quit after a week because I don't see like the performance like a top tier drag would do. It takes a bit of time. It's not just as easy as people expect it to be. Like she was on release where he just goes in and brim balls and we get a 10 kill feed. That doesn't happen anymore since yeah. And yeah.
Yeah.
No clue.
No, that's great, actually. That's exactly what I'm thinking too. And I've been saying this a lot. It has the learning curve, guys. It's not a class that you press buttons and things happen automatically on day one. You really, really need to put in the time. You gotta rewatch your own VODs, see where you positioned incorrectly. And honestly, you have to be passionate about the class to stick around with it for this long. Like Taegi's been playing it since release, which is about like what 4 years now. I've been playing it for a little over 2 years. And honestly, I just keep coming back to her and I love her so much that I can stick through the worst. And I've had some rough experiences when I first started Uncapped, for example. And I stuck through it because I love the class. If you like the aesthetic, if you like it, know that the potential is there. You can do what Taegi does. You can do what Manon does. You can do what all the good Draks do. But it's going to take time and patience and practice. It's not like other classes. Can't top frag in 2 weeks on this class. There's no way. So that's exactly what I tell anyone who asks me. And don't believe anybody who says, oh, this class is so easy. It is not easy. It is not. They're lying to you because they don't know. And I guarantee they play a couple Node Wars, they're going to have a rough time. If they think it's easy and go in with that thought, they're going to have a rough time. So, good class, guys. Very fun in PvP. We gave you like the rundown. She's better in large scale for sure. But in small scale, she's better than she used to be. But honestly, she still favors large scale. So keep that in mind. For small scale, I still feel Awakening Drak is slightly better, but not a whole lot better. That's only because of the grab, if I'm being honest. I played like 100 games on Awakening Drak before they buffed succ. And yeah, it's good, but it's not what it used to be. So both Draks are kind of viable at an equal level. Grab always edges out a little bit. But yeah, definitely recommended for large scale. Also not
Maybe
too
one
terrible.
thing before to ruin the clothing thoughts that come to my mind right now. What do you want her to get changed for? Like after you saw what they wrote in the Joro Labs today that they're planning to do like cancel change or whatever, or making classes less fatiguing. What would you wish for and changes?
That's actually good for closing thoughts actually. So for the future, right? We're done with the state of succ for now. For the future, what I want, first of all, Dominion Council. This skill is like this. Super usually use it with some cancels, but even then, recovery animation is like that. You can cancel it with unprotected dying. And you can cancel it a bit late into the animation. Hovering. Like you hold C and then you cancel it. I want this to be cancelable more.
I mean, you can also do it with F and WRMB, but it's also not really a good option because one is unprotected and the other is a forward-moving frontal guard.
Exactly. But like, I want a super armor or an iframe cancel. That LDR. That's my main thing because then. Oh, and also I wanted to proc the ions faster. Like, see, that didn't proc any ions at all. Let's do a couple tests to show what we're talking about. So if I go next to this guy, I press Shift E. Look how late those came in. That is just not acceptable. Low. Make the skill do everything much faster, then let me cancel. Then it'll be very. I want WE fall animations to be fixed. They're hard to replicate in Battle Arena, but sometimes if I fly over this, it happens. And it's RNG. So that's the annoying part. It'll happen when you're dueling people or when you're trying to like get down from ledges and stuff. It can happen at this elevation, but sometimes it doesn't. So I want that to be fixed. We've sent a whole bunch of clips. So hopefully that'll happen. Another super armor spender would be nice. Sundering Claw or Blazing Strike. Or Magnus armor would also be nice, but I don't know. Needs a little more super armor DPS. For Node War, because you use this, you use this, you use this, and then you have this, which is dangerous. This is also very dangerous. So like, get a little more of that. And then more PV damage on filler skills. More PV damage on ion skills. What else? What else do you think?
Yeah, also kind of on your part of that. Like, for PV at least, the filler damage needs buffed, and Ascent. To be honest, hard to use Ascent. That's why the 12-second to 10-second buff was kind of whatever for me, since I'm using it at every 15 seconds or something anyway, because the skill CPS is so bad.
Yeah.
With the super armor and spender was also on my thought at first, but maybe that would be too strong. I could maybe just increase the damage of, for example, Markinen's Claw or Soaring Assault a bit, so we have a non-ion super armor, like chip damage skill. Right now they are doing like non-existent damage, but if it would do a bit, you could maybe just chip a bit more with that to make it not too overpowered.
True.
And yeah, Dominion needs to have one better way to get out, maybe. I mean, that's also already maybe to overkill giving E protection or not.
Yeah.
And make the hitbox more reliable to get ions there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or if I don't give E super armor, maybe, as you said, the Magnus skill to give that one super armor to get somewhat reliable ions back in fight.
Yeah.
That's hard to say.
Yeah, it is hard to say. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I think since you've been playing succ drak since release, you would probably know. They added this skill later, right? It wasn't there at release. Marklinen's Dominion.
It was there, but I don't think it had a prime version. I'm not sure anymore. I just know it was complete garbage at the start.
Yeah. Okay. And then WRMB used to be a knockdown, I believe. PvP knockdown, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, like,
I think it had an evasion shred as well on it.
Yeah.
Something like that. Instead of the DP shred.
Okay. Yeah, Dominion, the reason I bring up Dominion's release is that I think it's a skill that kind of got made into something that it wasn't meant to be in the beginning. So they're still kind of iterating on it, but like they need to finish this skill up, is what I'm trying to say. Like this skill is half made. It's half done. It's always been that way. Just giving it 3 more ions is not enough. Like, make this skill and Ascent faster with better cancels. And the class is in super good state. And then fix my bug. Like, you have to fix a bug. Fall animations are not a buff request. Like, it's something that every class deserves to have, which is its bugs getting fixed. That's my number 1 priority. Number 2, make Ascent Dominion easier to cancel and faster so that they have more DPS and more value. And yeah. If I got only those 3 changes, I would be super happy already.